Morning. So I'm a co-founder of Friends of Australian Rock Art, and I'm also a cultural heritage consultant. I've been working in WA and NT on cultural heritage matters for 30 years. And my question relates to the large amounts of acid gas emitted from the Karratha gas plant and Pluto project. And I've got two questions. So my first question relates to an incorrect and misleading statement on the Woodside website, which states there is no peer-reviewed scientific evidence which identifies impacts on Burrup rock art from industrial emissions associated with LNG production. That's incorrect, and you know that it's incorrect because we've sent you these 6 refereed scientific articles many times, and we've also got in the recent West Australian government report released in December last year, we've got a map showing high acidity levels all over the entirety of the Burrup Peninsula. And just a final thing, to substantiate this factually incorrect claim, the Woodside webpage also, incredibly, cites data from the long discredited CSIRO monitoring program, which was disbanded in 2017 after being shown to be scientifically flawed. And so my first question is, will Woodside delete these statements from its website so that investors and members of the public are no longer misled by statements which are false and or based on discredited scientific data? Question 1. Okay, shall I move on to question 2?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yep. As you'd be aware, there's been a bit of a upheaval in the Aboriginal heritage regulation sphere in WA over the last year or so. But what's happened is that in November 23, the old Aboriginal Heritage Act was reintroduced with a couple of amendments, and there is a specific amendment here my question is about, which was introduced, which is to kind of deal with the problem of Juukan Gorge, where there was new information available about Juukan Gorge, but it wasn't taken into account. So reading from the West Australian Government website, when a Section 18 consent has been granted by the Minister, the landowner is required to notify the Minister of any new information about an Aboriginal site, an important reform to help prevent another Juukan Gorge tragedy, close quote. Now, given that Woodside is already aware of the scientific evidence I just referred to on potential impacts to sites covered by its, I think, 2012 previous Section 18 approvals for the Pluto and North West Shelf projects, my question is, has Woodside complied with the requirements of Section 18, paragraph 6, by advising the Minister of this new information yet?
Thanks, Mr. Bennetts. Meg, do you want to deal with both of those?
Yeah, Mr. Bennett, so appreciate your questions. Thank you for attending today. Let me start by saying that as one of the most scrutinized companies in Australia, the contents of our website are thoroughly vetted, and we
But you've got an incorrect statement there, Ms.
We do not
O'Neill.
have incorrect statements. We do not have incorrect statements. So our website is carefully vetted to ensure that we do have accuracy in what we communicate with the market.
I just showed you. You've seen this information, Ms. O'Neill, and you've still got that
Can you please
statement.
let Meg answer the question, and please cease interrupting. You've asked your question, we'll answer it, and then we'll move to the next questioner. Thank you.
So we've been participating, as I'm sure you well know, in rock art monitoring studies for many years in conjunction with the traditional custodians, the Murujuga Aboriginal Corporation. And over time, they have taken an increasingly important leading role in the studies that we conduct. We are a participant in the most recent ongoing rock art monitoring program. Of course, Murujuga Aboriginal Corporation and the Department of Water and Environmental Regulation is fully involved in and is the creator of this information. We review that and we adapt our activities accordingly. But again, in the absence of scientific certainty on the level of emissions, which theoretically may impact rock art, we believe we are taking reasonable and practical measures across our operations to minimize emissions and minimize the impact.
Thanks, Meg. Can I have the next question, please?
This is Ms. Jess Beckerling. Ms. Beckerling is a proxy holder.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two questions. First of all, is Woodside in discussions with any parties regarding onshore gas developments in the Kimberley to supply its Northwest Shelf processing facility in the future? And will Woodside rule out contracting for gas supply to the Northwest Shelf facility from onshore development or fracking in the Kimberley? That's my first question. Would you like me to go straight to the second?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Following up from Mr. Bennett's question, but on a different detail, although Woodside claims on its website that there is no significant evidence that its emissions are having any effect on the globally significant Murujuga rock art, a 2020 scientific report by Dr. D. Fox, commissioned but currently withheld by Woodside, and cited by rock art scientist Dr. Ian McLeod in a 2020 paper, found that there is unequivocal evidence that the changes in rock art colour contrast are affected by the changes in the mean and minimum pH observed on the rock art sites at the referent positions. Will Woodside release the 2020 Fox report so that scientific experts, Woodside investors and the general public are fully informed about the obvious impact of industrial emissions on the globally significant Burrup rock art? Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Beckerling. Meg, can you deal with both of those?
Sure. So thanks, Ms. Beckerling. With respect to processing gas, so the Karratha gas plant, as was noted by a previous questioner, the fields that feed that plant are declining, so there is ullage in the plant. We have signed agreements between the Northwest Shelf and Pluto and the Northwest Shelf and Waitsia to process gas from those respective joint ventures. But Northwest Shelf and the Karratha gas plant is open, and we're having discussions with a variety of parties. At this point in time, we're not having any with Northwest Shelf because there's no way for them to physically get the gas there. But we would welcome the opportunity to have a discussion with them to help enable and unlock their gas development opportunities. With respect to the rock art question, look, I think we answered that with the previous questioner. We've been an active participant in rock art studies for many years. We are a participant in the process that is now in the rock art coalition group that is now managed by the WA Department of Water and Environmental Regulation, which has a broad coalition of parties to ensure that we are all working off the same data set when it comes to understanding rock art.
Thanks, Meg. Can we have the next question, please? Can we have the next question, please?